internet. Today I'm going to do what I think is called the ultimate book lovers tag. I saw Megan Precourt do this tag and it looked like a lot of fun, so she told me to do it. So I'm going to. The very first question is already like super difficult. It's your top 3 favorite books. Well, my all-time favorite book is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, but it's underneath a lot of stuff, so here's a picture. Also, I really love The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. This is probably my favorite classic, so we'll go with that one. And Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. I think as of right now, those are my top 3. And the second question is your top 3 least favorite books. I will say I generally don't read a book that I don't like. I've gotten pretty accustomed to my taste and I know what I'm going to like. So I don't often read a book that I don't like, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. So the first book that came to mind was Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer, because I really just think that this is kind of a mess of a book. And when I was reading the Twilight series like 9 years ago for the first time, this book kind of ruined the series for me. Like, I kind of liked the series until I finished this book, and then it kind of ruined it for me. I am hoping to reread the Twilight series at some point this year because I haven't read them since I was 14, and I would really like to read them one more time with an adult mindset and without the pressure from a lot of people that were around me to dislike the series. So that's probably going to happen at some point soon. But I did not like this book. I don't really know if that's going to change, but the plot just wasn't for me. The next book that comes to mind is Vasa in the Night by Sarah Porter. This book was just a little too weird for me. That didn't make a lot of sense, and I just really didn't care about it at all. I made myself finish it because I was reading it for a readathon, but if I hadn't have been reading it for a readathon, I probably would have DNF'd it. It just was not good. And I did read a lot of books in school that I didn't like, so I thought I'd throw one of those in here. The one that kind of comes to mind is The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Read this for my junior year AP English class. God, I hated it. The only reason I still have it is because I think this cover is beautiful, and I have other books in the Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition, so I don't want to get rid of it, but I hated this book. It is one of my least favorite books I ever read for school, and I hated it. A popular author you love, definitely John Green, although I feel like a lot of people have kind of jumped off the John Green bandwagon, but I still love him. I loved him first as a YouTuber and then as an author, and I think I love him more as a YouTuber than an author, but I still really appreciate his books. And just the fact that John and Hank are part of the reason why I came to YouTube and wanted to be a part of the YouTube community, that really means a lot to me, and his books kind of helped get me there. And I just really love him as a person, and I do like his books, even though I can definitely critique them, but I still really, really enjoy them. Number 4 is a popular author you don't love. For me, I'd probably say Cassandra Clare. And hear me out, I don't have anything against the Shadowhunters world or books or whatever. I just couldn't get into it. I tried reading City of Bones. I read it twice, actually. I read it a couple of years ago, and then I just never felt compelled to pick the next book up, even though I had already bought it. Then once I started getting like super duper into BookTube, I was like, okay, I need to give it another chance. Everybody loves these books. So I reread City of Bones, and then I still had no desire to pick up the next book, so I finally just got rid of them. I just don't think that series is for me, and part of me thinks that maybe one day I might try to read the Infernal Devices trilogy, but I just don't really have a big desire to right now. I just think it might be a good way to like help me get into historical fiction maybe, because it's still kind of a genre that I don't read a lot of, but I don't really know. And like, I appreciate Cassie Clare as a person, I have not been able to get into her books. Number 5 is an underrated book you think everyone should read. For that, I'm gonna go with The Name of the Star by Maureen Johnson. I hardly hear anybody talk about this book or the series. I think the only other person that I've seen mention this on BookTube is Sasha, and I think it's really good. So far there's 3 books. I think Maureen Johnson is writing a fourth. But this is part of the Shades of London series by Maureen Johnson, and it has to do with like supernatural stuff. There's this girl that her family moves to London, and so she's going to start going to this boarding school, and then there's a copycat Jack the Ripper killer, and the main character, Rory, gets wrapped up in it, and I just really, really love this series. It's so entertaining. Maureen Johnson, I feel like, is very underrated as an author in general, but this series in particular, I think, deserves more hype than it gets. A series you won't finish is the next question. The more I think about this series, the more I feel like I don't want to continue it. I mean, I've already talked about how I don't want it to continue the Mortal Instruments, but I don't want to use the same answer, so I think I'm not going to finish the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard. I read the first book a couple of months ago, and I read the prequel novellas, which I hated. And I wasn't too big of a fan of this book. Like, it was okay. And, like, the last, like, little bit of it I got into, but I really have just had no desire to pick up Glass Sword. I haven't even bothered buying it yet. I don't know if I'm going to. I'm kind of leaning towards, there's just so many other books that I want to read that I'm kind of leaning towards just not continuing on with this series, because there are so many other series that I would rather spend my time reading. And I'm probably going to unhaul this and the prequel novellas, Cruel Crown, soon. Earliest bookish memory. Probably the earliest memory I have is just being like 3, 4, 5 and flipping through my Dr. Seuss books. I remember we had this like built-in shelf unit in our dining room area in the kitchen, and I kept a lot of toys on it, but I also kept my Dr. Seuss books. And I remember I would be like sitting in the middle of the kitchen floor reading my favorites. Like, I remember I liked Green Eggs and Ham a lot, and I think it's called Go Dog Go, because it was about dogs, so obviously. And I would say it's probably my earliest bookish memory. Number 8 is your favorite bookish memory. This is something I kind of want to make a whole video about, but I'll go ahead and talk about it. And it's the first time I read Harry Potter. And I say that's my favorite is because my life has changed so much because of the fact that I first picked up Harry Potter. So I was in 2nd grade, and I was taking a test to try and get into my school's talented and gifted program. We called it TAG. And so you have to take a test to get in, and there were 3 teachers, and one of the teachers had a Harry Potter display in her classroom. And so after I got done taking the test, while I was waiting for them to release me to go back to my regular school class, I picked up the first book because I thought the display looked really interesting. I remember specifically there was a Hedwig plushie, but I know there was other stuff, and I just thought it looked interesting. And I think I got through the first 2 chapters, maybe, and that's all it took. I was hooked. I remember going home and I was like, Mom, we've got to read these books. It's called Harry Potter. And for my birthday that year, she got me the first 2 books. And it was in 2001, so I think that was like right when the first movie came out too. So I might have actually seen the first movie before we finished the first book, because my mom and I read all of the books together, but I don't really remember that part. But that moment, I'm sure I might have gotten into Harry Potter some other way, but Harry Potter's just changed my life a lot, and it's really shaped the person I am, and I want to make a video about that one day. I need to do that. But because of the impact Harry Potter's had on my life, I would say that's probably my favorite bookish memory, because if that had not had happened, I don't know who I would be, honestly. Number 9 is your favorite genre to read. Right now, it's kind of a tie between YA fantasy and YA contemporary. I've been pretty into YA for a while, and I've gotten more into YA fantasy since I started watching more BookTube in the past like year and a half, and I've liked YA contemporary for a while, and I want to try and like start broadening my horizons a little bit more. I have been starting to read some more adult books, but right now YA is still my favorite, and within that, definitely fantasy and contemporary. Your least favorite genre to read? Probably, I guess, horror, because I don't like horror in general, so why would I read it? I don't like scary things. I'm kind of a scaredy cat. I don't like scary movies or horror, anything, so I guess I wouldn't want to read a horror book either. One difficult or important book you're proud to have read? Definitely The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I'm so glad that I read this and that I read it around the time that it came out. I got to kind of be a part of the hype But this is such an important book. I feel like it should be required reading for humanity, and I'm really proud that I have read it, and I want to encourage everyone to read this book if you haven't read it already. It's so good. It's about a girl named Star who witnesses her childhood best friend get shot by a police officer, and so it's kind of about her being the only witness and how she's dealing with that, but it's also very much a contemporary story as well. We've got a romance, you've got a great family dynamic, you've got a great friendship dynamic. It's just all around a fantastic book. I can't wait to see what else Angie Thomas comes out with in the coming years. Number 12 is your favorite childhood book. Obviously Harry Potter, but also I want to give a shout out to the old school, like, historical fiction American Girl books, because I read pretty much all of those that existed when I was in elementary school, and between that and Harry Potter, I think that's one of the reasons why I love to read so much, is because I read both of those so, like, constantly as a child that it's made me want to always be reading something. So shout out to American Girl. Number 13 is your favorite book cover. I feel like I've used this book in so many videos lately, but one of my all-time favorite book covers, I think, is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Madsen, because, like, dogs. I mean, my channel's Dog on Book Addict. I like dogs, but, like, it's just so cute, like, all the way around, and even when you open up the book, underneath it is, it's so cute, and I really like this book cover because dogs, and it's so cute. 14 is an ugly book cover. I really hate the cover for this edition of An Abundance of Catherines by John Green. Like, look at that. That is not interesting at all, and, like, this isn't a sticker. It's, like, on there. I hate this edition. And I'm not, like, too concerned about it because this isn't my favorite John Green book, but, like, eventually I do think that I want to get the new cover because it's a lot cuter. A diverse book recommendation. Well, I've already praised The Hate U Give, so there's that. But also The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. I just finished this not long ago. I love it so much. This and The Hate U Give are probably my two favorite books I've read so far this year. And this book is incredibly diverse. It's diverse in a lot of different ways. So the main character, Molly, has a twin sister who is gay. Molly and her twin sister and their little brother are raised by two moms, one of which is gay and one of which is bisexual, and also their moms are an interracial couple. The family is Jewish, and Molly also is fat, and there's really good fat rep in this book, and she has anxiety issues that she takes medication for. So it's just a lot of great things in this book, and I just thanks Becky for putting this out in the world. But definitely, if you haven't read this book yet, I highly, highly recommend it. And the very last question is, why do you love to read? I've kind of answered that, sort of, as far as, like, from my childhood why I love to read, but I think just, like, overall the reason I love books so much is because it really allows you to immerse yourself in a different world by using your imagination, and I think that's really cool, because, like, you can watch movies and you can watch TV shows and stuff and you can get immersed in those stories too, but everything is right in front of you. You see what's going on. Whereas books, it's just being described to you, and so you and someone else are never going to imagine the same thing, and I just think that's really cool. And so that's just another reason why I love books so much. Okay, I think this video is long enough. I didn't really plan ahead enough to think of anybody to tag, so if you want to do this tag, I'm going to leave the questions in the description. And if you end up doing it, post your video in the comments so I can go watch it. I kind of just got home from work and was like, oh yeah, I need to film a video because it's Sunday, so that's what I'm doing. And I didn't plan very far ahead as far as who to tag, so if you want to do it, do it. Yep, that will be it for this video, and I will see you guys next time with another video.